So welcome everybody to our monthly Second Saturdays poetry reading. My name is Dan Kerr, and I have the privilege of being the moderator for this poetry reading hosted by Kathy Donnelly. We do start reasonably promptly at 11 a.m. each time. If you'd like to read one of your poems, because the program includes our featured reader and also an open read, simply enter your name in chat and I'll call upon the people to read in the order they appear in chat. Please keep your microphone off unless you are reading. You'd be amazed or surprised how much background noise you get when your microphone is open. So please keep your mic muted until it's time for you to be called upon to read. Feedback is a gift. So if you like what we do, if you don't like what we do, if there's a way this experience can be improved for you and poets in the future, that's my email there, danielbkerr@verizon.net. Send me an email and Kathy and I review feedback regularly, and we do believe that feedback is a gift. As far as our agenda, we start roughly around 11. We tentatively say we go to about 12, but it depends upon how many people want to read. We may flex a little bit beyond 12 o'clock. After I get you settled, I'll turn you over to Kathy, who is our host for today. She will introduce our featured reader. We're very excited and grateful to have Paula with us today. So we'll have Paula read for about 20 minutes. Then we'll have the open read, and then we'll call Paula back for an encore. And then Kathy will have some concluding remarks and announce the next poet that we have in January. As I said, this is a monthly program. This is one of many outreach programs associated with Historic All Souls Church in Stony Brook. Kathy reminds me this is not an occasion for evangelization, but I do like to make you aware of different programs that we do at the church, which the poets tend to be very active in. So one of them is the concert series. And actually today, although the baseball season is over, we have a double header tonight. So tonight we're going to do the annual lessons and carols. We tell the story of the Nativity, and we tell the story of the Nativity with readings from Scripture, but also from within song. So you've got a Heidi Schneider, who is a very talented soprano from Stony Brook University. You've got a group called the Brave Trio, which sings at Mass at All Souls each week. And you have a mother and daughter combination, Miriam and Lexi Salerno, who'll be coming in to sing as well. And also our organist, Dan Kinney, plays the historical organ. And we have two of the hymns that are going to be sung are actually going to be sung by the people that show up at the concert. So we do that every month. We do concerts every month. This one is a special one we do every December around this time of year. Tell the story of the Nativity in readings and in song. The poetry is every month, so that's a picture of, you'll recognize all the poets there. That's when we were back in the church. We've been doing these things virtually for the last 3 years, and we'll continue to do so. We find that doing them virtually opens them up to others who wouldn't be able to travel to the church or wouldn't be able to make it up the hill. We also do Native American drumming once a month as well. If you're interested in learning more about these events, just visit the website. You can get information on that. Once a year, we combine everything. You'll recognize there on the altar Kathy and Gloria, Vivian Fisher and Linda Dickman and Bruce Johnson, quite a few other poets. Once a year, we combine the concert series with the poetry and Native American drumming. And what we do is we have sacred readings brought from all different traditions. And then after each sacred reading, we have a musical interlude. Students from the university, the Native American drummer, and Dan Kinney, our organist. That tends to be every August. So if you're interested in being one of the readers for that, let me know. And the last thing I'll mention before I turn it over to Kathy, and you'll recognize Barbara there on the right hand with her noisemaker, or whatever you want to call it, the little thing that she always brings her, the rattle. She's always shakes, rattles, and roll. We have an annual race each year, 5K race, 2K walk, that raises funds to make the church accessible, to put a bathroom in the back of the church, and also to put some type of lift system so people who can't make it up the hill can get up the hill. So that event we do once a year raises funds to make the church accessible. We've raised over $100,000 as a result of that. And we're actually going to be starting soon putting the bathroom in, and within the next year or two, the vision of having a bathroom and having a lift system will be complete. And each year you have a group called the Live Poet Society, and you'll recognize Richard there and Barbara and some of the others in the picture. They don't run in the walk, but each year they walk in the walk. So mark your calendars for that. That'll be probably the first Sunday in October this year. So with that, I may turn it over to our host, Kathy Donnelly. Kathy, the role yours.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Happy holiday. Christmas. I think we're in Hanukkah, yeah. And Christmas coming up. So before I introduce dear Paula, who's fantastic over there in Nassau, that other country over there, I'm going to begin by Yedi Ignatow. He writes, forest. Green is a code, saying itself unable to stop, blissfully in love with its secret. A bird whirs by me, wrapping up the air. I gather courage and say, the bird deep inside myself. I say her movement, her eyes, the body, and the little feet. As I move past the word, suspicion disappears, and she answers, landing closer. I say things over and over, not knowing where else to start. Branch, eye, feather, moving toward each meaning, so the forest may begin to recognize me as someone who knows without the word. And that's David Ignatow's daughter, writing poetry. So, Paula Curci, Nassau County Poet Laureate, 2022 to 2024. So she's current. Poet in residence and producer of Calliope's Corner, The Place, where poets and songwriters meet, and What's the Buzz? For WRHU on 88.7 FM, Radio Hofstra University. Co-founder of Poetry, It's a Sure Thing, SHORE thing, open mic, and the Micro Memoir Anthology Project at the Long Beach Public Library. Journal to Self, journal writing instructor, poet, correspondent, journalist for the scene, life, co-founder of the Acoustic Poets Network and director of the Acoustic Poets Network Visitation Project. Published work, spoken word albums released under the Acoustic Poet Network, Brand, Emissary, Bittersweet, and Done That, Poetry and Posix. The auditory version. Chapbooks, One Woman's Cathartic Release of Poetry, The Gift of Thanksgiving, and Done That, Poetry and Posix. Contribution to anthologies in print, Huntington Arts Council magazine, Long Island Sounds, Writing Resilience Anthology, Poetry Bay, A Wreath of Golden Laurels, Whisper and Shouts, Writing Outside the Lines, Lunacy Press, Hysteria, and more. Audio, Fear No Art. It's a poet project, Shakespeare project, and more. This woman has a bio that could take 2 more pages. She gave us a short version, and that's the short version. We are so proud to welcome Paula Curci. You know, I don't hear anybody talking.
Paula, they're all yours. You just got to turn your mic on.
I just have to unmute myself.
You're still worth waiting for.
Thank you for snapping for me. And I see so many wonderful friends here. Thank you for coming. And my sister is here with us today. So welcome, Lucy. I'm going to be sharing with you, Dan and Kathy, also. Thanks for doing this amazing project. So all my selections today are going to be about narrative pieces that I wrote when I was with or about friends and family. So let's consider this my holiday present to them. I think you'll find the selections to be, definitely free verse, sentimental memory poems, and with a positive message. With the exception maybe of this first one, it's an epistolary letter that I've written to youth. Many of you know that I spent many years as a school counselor, youth development, my cause. So I call this, this is a call to action with a spoken word kind of bent to it. Dear youth, you are the cog that runs the wheel, hope for the future, the water that churns, the grains crushed, the grass growing, the birds that return for spring. It is you that anger preys on, that seared minds shoot. You, the focus of terrorists, the misdirected and marred, making you a generation of martyrs. It is you who will memorialize 911 and 988 and display ICE on your arm and set down flowers for Uvalde and Columbine and because you are made of innocence and hope and treasure and unfolding rainbows. Because you are made of all that is clear, carbon and clean oxygen, the thing that everyone searches to drink in Floridian mountains. You are why we buy vitamin C serum. You are why we pay doctors to reshape us. Precious youth. Life-loving and free-thinking precious youth. Kindness and forgiveness is natural in you, and potential is your every breath. You are the embryonic, unwavering potential inherent in the wind. Because of these things, they come for you. They prey on your freedom. Tommy gun. Fear of winter has come for you too many times. The lockdowns, the drills, the shelters in place, it's all your teachers can do to shelter you. Now, you can guide your destiny. You can reclaim what was stolen from you, taken from you without permission. Come, dear youth, share the microphone. Be the resistance. Faith in you exists, dear youth. I call you all to action. Reclaim your Genesis. End of letter. So that was inspired by my dear niece, Angela, who went to a rally. And when she went to the rally, I was concerned. And I said, what are you doing? You know, this could be dangerous. And she said, don't worry, Aunt Paula. I wrote my phone number and my name on my arm. This is where we are with what's going on in the world today. So I'm going to jump right into the next poem, which is a narrative poem, also inspired by Angela and my niece, Monica, who were so kind to buy my sister, Lucy, a weekend out east. Now, we lived out east every summer for many, many years, just sold that property in 2018 and in Jamesport. So my nieces were so nice, and they said, well, you know, Lucy, you could go by yourself, but, you know, Aunt Paula should go with you. So we had a lovely time. This is East End with Lucy. It was a blue sky kind of morning, stuffed with yesterday's feast and views of hawks soaring on 25 East. We woke to breathe fall air and watch leaves fly, landing everywhere after drawing circles in the sky. It was a sip of a crisp coffee day with no need to hurry, looking out on the bay and watching the ferry. After a magic fountain lunch, 2 scoops of lots of stuff. Or was it pumpkin crunch? No matter, can't get enough. We drove around and shared memories about the bay and the Rocky Sound and what was once our families. Made a stop at Love Lane for a flight of cheese, dry from the afternoon rain and the tornadoes breeze. A day that changed seasons, sunglasses to umbrella. A day with no reason but to write this novella. It was a drift through hours, a tale through time. Sister, it was ours, set aside for us to design. Thank you, everybody. So these next two poems also happen to be situated in autumn, in the fall time. I wrote this in Oregon. I spent a lot of time in Oregon. My brother Frank lives in Oregon. My cousin Daniel and my cousin Blanca live in Oregon. So we're in a car driving north from Grants Pass north to Portland, Oregon, and we see this beautiful rainbow. And my family tends to have a lot of conversations about politics. That's what we tend to do. So Oregon Thanksgiving. So I'm here again in the Oregon rain. Glad I'm not near fire. On this Thanksgiving day, discussing the mystery of faith, shared an eighth, heard stories about a liar while hiking this clay. Oh, the Oregon rain. Please wash away those poor political scenes on this atomic highway. Create madrone and marijuana, tall to touch the sky. Danced to the Grateful Dead. Fed my head, spoke to the choir who lived up this way. Escaped from New York to stab turkey with a fork. Wonder what else would transpire should I choose to stay. Oh, this Oregon rain. Please wash away those meandering jerrys. Let red Rainier cherries and magenta blueberries create rainbows in the sky. I wrote that in the back seat of the car. I don't know if they know that I was writing that poem. There's another one that I'm going to share with you also that I wrote while I was traveling with family. And I think they just think I was texting somebody, So this one I wrote when I was upstate New York with my friend Zoe on her porch. And she lives in Monroe, upstate near Warwick area. And it's pitch black, can't see a thing. Now, we all know that sometimes when we come from inside and outside, you need that time for your eyesight to readjust itself. So this is what's happening in this poem. And it's somewhat existential in the sense that, I'm really clearly making a statement about perception, but not just visual perception. On a cicada night, on a country porch, an alternate dimension presented itself as hyperspace. And my perspective shifted, all from a rocking chair. In quietude, releasing mood boosters, which each rock and roll on the chair, I was transfixed by the darkness. I raised my arms to touch a wormhole-like set of imaginary black spandex curtains, dangling my digits on the other side of nothing. Then a camera flashed, and the rods floated from dark to light, and suddenly I could see. And through the porch frame, my webbed fingers were near a brood of X-swarm cicadas, now all in a jam, in surround sound of chorus timbre filling the air. It was a warm night, sitting in between worlds of creation and formation, of ideation and observation, all the while on a country porch in a rocking chair, contemplating the action I bear in a world I hadn't even known was there. End of poem. So this next piece, again, is a narrative piece. It contains a memory of driving up to Northport to go to Linda Trott Dickman's Poet in Port reading. And I was in the car with my friend Teresa. And I also spent some time living in Huntington. So there's a lot of memories there as I'm driving through and I'm telling her, well, that was that. And we did that over there, went out to dinner with my friends Karen and Ronnie and Ralph. So they're all in this poem. I am a friend driving to a port up north from southern sandy beaches with drifting memories and past recollections of my old stomping grounds. It is crisp autumn, and we stop at Richter's orchard, catch a family picnicking, watch a little girl dig her teeth into a freshly picked snapdragon. Later at Duncan Elder, we marvel at the Empire apples gifted from the local farm, eat eggplant parmesan, and share optimism for even more kindred memories. I am expected at 7 to share poems and song, greeted with chocolate and a Walt Whitman quote about light and dark, and it is a miracle. Later, we drive to seek revel and entertainment among allied spirits and lots of Palmernock wine at Gunther's on Main Street. It's cold. I borrow a scarf. We walk to the harbor's edge, and the street lights reflect shadows over the dark, placid bay. We talk of roads less traveled, and we all agree we are on the right one. The poem. So that's a true story. And here is my gift from Linda Trott Dickman, which I hope everybody can see. Not if you can see it, I hope. And it says, we'll go that way with it.
There you go. Perfect.
So it is a Walt Whitman quote. So thank you, Linda Trott Dickman, for my cup.
Could you just read it out loud before you put it down?
Oh, of course. It says, every moment of light and dark is a miracle.
Thank you.
So that kind of, is a triptych with the poem before about light and dark, in a sense, too. The two poems before. So how are we doing with time? I have 2 more poems for you guys.
That's fine.
So my friends turned 60. I'm now 61. And when we all turned 60, we all went out and partied. Every one of us, we had a party for everyone. And I am lucky to have girlfriends from elementary school. So this poem was one of the poems that I gave to one of the gals. This is for Christine. But they all deserve this. You deserve elegance, a red and golden velvet robe for all the love you've given today, and hence you deserve roses with stems as long as time for all birthday poses in front of a backdrop of Italian stone or Aleppo pine to honor your heritage and authenticate the love you have for your life. Line a picture of you with figs, chestnuts, lemon trees, a golden brown crown on your head, and helpers at your knees. You deserve more than what this year's gifts bring. Let this poem be the wing that crushes all things and rushes in the creation of more life, more love, and a grand celebration. So this last piece I'll share with you right now is a story. My Aunt Celie and my sister Lucy, my 2 cousins Ellen and Paula, and my brother Frank, we went up to Sabino Canyon in Tucson, Arizona, and we traveled on this tram, and the tram goes in a circle. So you can get off anywhere, get back on, you can stay on this tram all day. The guides tell me that people used to drive their Mustangs up into this canyon. In the 50s, they'd drink beer and make out. I believe it because I saw a Cocopelli dance in the caves just above the foothills and cast a spirit shadow next to the saguaro tree. Here at Thimble Peak, the sun goes down only after the purple showers complete their soak. And the sun waits before it takes its final bow for the Gila to hide in the brackish water under the shade of the black oak. I imagine sweethearts came here century after century to make love in the spring and massage themselves with the elixir of agave or aloe and drink the juice from the prickly pear. This path we are on, this tram, could be a donkey or a pioneer's covered wagon, I suppose, driving me up the wash to clandestinely meet with my soulmate, the park ranger. He quelled my daydream with this reality trail talk. Stop one is near, he said. And just like that, my ecological marvel ride and past life trolley fantasy had gone full circle. That's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was great.
I'll
Great
see
talk.
you on the rebound of the circle.
That was just great, reflecting on the poems, the call to action, and how you articulated how the youth or the aspirations of, of our hope in the future, and the story about your niece with her name on her arm, just beautiful and poignant. The East End with Lucy, what a wonderful story for anyone who's ever, anyone in particular, but anyone who's familiar with East and 25 out East and what it's like there in Jamesport, and how you describe the transition in one day from sunglasses to umbrella, capturing the full breadth of the weather. That beautiful story about you looking at the rainbow and the Oregon Thanksgiving, just in the escape from New York, just beautiful. And the cicadas, and somewhere between creation and formation, just a wonderful image. And your friends in Northport, again, Northport is a very special place to anyone who's ever been there. It's great to go to Northport, and you took me right to the dock there, looking out over Northport Harbor, and you're visiting to Gunther's. It was a great tragedy when Gunther's burnt down, but they seem to have restored it pretty well. So just beautiful image of that, being at the harbor's edge. And the poem for your friend, which was for all your friends, in terms of her deserving a crown for her head, and that she deserved more. And this poem was, hopefully the entryway to her receiving more. Just beautiful. And the story about the cannon, what a wonderful way to end in terms of that circular. You get off and, what you saw on the range of seeing, and you're speculating of people going there. And I love that image of the 1950s, drinking beer and make it out. As a child of the 60s, 70s, we did a bit of that too, but just a beautiful reading. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move in now to the open. We'll look forward to the encore. We're going to move into the open read, and we have certain, I don't know if commandments is the right word. That's perhaps my religious background creeping out here, but I will call upon the names as they appear in chat, and we will announce you in groups of 3, so you won't be surprised. Please don't turn your mic on until it's your turn to read, and please be prepared to turn on your mic when I call you. Sometimes people have difficulty remembering where the button is. Please, only one poem and no more, less than 5 minutes. Most of the poems are shorter than that, but please don't read a poem more than 5 minutes. If you got a poem that's more than 5 minutes, read something else. Please keep your microphone muted. Please wait to be called upon. Kathy will close the program, and we will, we may flex a little bit depending upon how many people want to read. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to announce the readers. And if you are chat challenged and you don't know how to enter your name in chat, don't worry, we'll come around and we'll pick you up at the end. Okay. So our first group of 3 readers will go to Marvin, and then Sheila, and then Sherry Lynn. So Marvin, we're over to you first.
Okay. By the way, the line that Paula read from Whitman, every moment of light and dark is a miracle, comes from Whitman's poem called Miracles, in which he describes almost everything as a miracle. The name of my poem is called Lunch. She read me Uncle Wiggily, or I would not eat at all, or Ping the duck lost on the Yangtze, or how the crow got his croak, or how the owl got so wise. And because she read with feeling, that's the word she used, I would eat my alphabet soup and the egg shaking on the spinach, the butterscotch pudding, and drink my milk all down. And it tasted good because my friends were there in the briar patch, in a candy cottage, or on a lily pad. And though she gave me a cookie to eat on my way back to school, I was sad to leave her voice, which made magic with the books. For there was no magic from 1 to 3, but multiplication tables, or spelling quizzes, or penmanship. And as I walked back to school, I waved to Mom, and saw, I swear, a cricket twirling a cane, dancing on her shoulder, and a white rabbit by her side, dressed in hearts.
Thank you, Marvin. You always take us back to when we were all kids in school. Thank you for that. Okay, over to Sheila, please.
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay. This is an actual true story. This poem is called The Last Gift. Excited, boisterous children rip open carefully chosen gifts, hard to find trending games, and wished for latest toys. Joyful exclamations of wow and yes. Her always celebratory spouse unwraps a hard to find album from a favorite concert he did not take her to, an assigned first edition for which she paid dearly. Her turn now. Mommy, open mine. A best mother coffee cup, a calendar with puppies, both purchased during recess from that holiday boutique held last week at school. She remembered that hectic morning, scrounging for a few singles because both children needed an extra $1 for lunch. Kisses and hugs, she would display proudly her bounty in her cubicle at work. The last gift, his gift. He unsteadily pulls from a large CVS bag. Pass this to Mommy as he shakily lights another smoke. An odd-shaped present with several stick-on bows haphazardly applied to close the gaps. What could this be? A CVS stapler, a box of paper clips, a tape dispenser with a refill, and a very large pair of pajamas, like the ones that hang on the rack by the beer cooler at CVS. Thank you.
Dan, you're muted.
Thank you, Bruce. Sherry Lynn, over to you.
Good morning, Paula. Thank you for your wonderful journey and reading. I'm so glad I was able to hear you today. In honor of you, I'm reading from, I don't know if you can see, you can't, the Nassau County Poet Laureate Society Review, Volume 10, published this year, my piece, Unchained. Wolf eyes absorb with a snout inhale guidance coming from stars under a polar lit moon. These paths tempt fate, others linger with ancestral scent. Through thorn-framed truths, she bushwhacks onward. Hackles shiver, suspense thickens under this canopy shield with no way to know what will be beyond the thicket. Clinging snow crystals glisten her coarse black coat, light and heft of fresh tracks in her quickened pace toward a snow-capped precipice where she shakes, tosses her head, lifts a wholeness pride of herself to the summoning sky. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, the next group of three is Carolyn, followed by Barbara, followed by Claude. So Carolyn, over to you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good. Hi, everybody. Thank you, Paula. It's so nice to hear not only good poetry, but a good reader. And hello to Kathy. Gail Teller and I read with her a while ago. I'd like to read a poem from my new book called Travelers on My Route, which half my friends call Route, but I call Route. It's a little rondo called While You're Away, which I wrote to my husband the eve of his surgery, which fortunately was very successful. While you're away. While you're away, I'll shun the rose, the cool night breeze that sweetly blows, the trilling of the cardinal's song. Somehow it suddenly seems wrong to revel when the pleasure goes. And yet my tree hydrangea grows with daily confidence. Who knows? Perhaps I also can be strong while you're away. Without your buoyant smile that shows the spirit of the man I chose, without your often off-key song that strives for Wagner, not too long, I'll mimic coping, I suppose, while you're away. Thank you.
Well done. Thank you. Okay, Barbara, over to you.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone.
Morning. Oh, good. You got the rattle?
I do. Santa Barbara, Santa Barbara, Santa Barbara, Santa Barbara, Santa Barbara, Santa Barbara, This past week was Santa Barbara's Day, and Lorca wrote, Santa Barbara, your story is written in the sky with paper and holy water. She was the first feminist martyr. And even though she was thrown off the Catholic calendar several decades ago, I was still named for her. Santa Barbara, I see her in my dream, strong and courageous, sword in hand, soft in heart. She was pure, but she got bloody. Santa Barbara says, do what you believe, do your part. Her daddy was a rich pagan, locked her up in a tower, gave her beautiful things, but kept all the power. Said, do everything I say, and she answered no, ran away. So he sent his goons to get her. She was betrayed. She was deceived. She was beaten and burned, but her wounds miraculously healed. Then daddy was so mad, he lopped off her head with a sword frightening, but he paid the price and was struck down by lightning. Santa Barbara prevailed. She's the patron saint of the armies and the mariners that sail, to the firemen and the miners intrepid from land and sea. She stands up to the patriarchy. Santa Barbara, protecting those in harm's way. Santa Barbara, we see you in our dreams today. And if you have found a candle like this that I still light each year, I just want to end because this ushers in this holiday season, and I wish for everyone peace. Dona nobis pacem, dona nobis pacem. Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful introduction to the holidays and introduction to that saint as well. Thank you so much. Okay, Claude, over to you. Claude?
All right, here we go. All right. Well, that's good. Nice poem. And Santa Barbara protects the mariners that sail. Segs well with what I'm going to read. And let me see if I can shrink this down. Let's see. How do we get that off there? I have a poem on the. How do I come out of the whole screen?
I'm not quite sure. If you got the Word, is it a Word document? Just click on the Word icon at the bottom. That should bring it up.
On the top right, on the far right, there's a little controls, a little box and a line and an X. Try to click the minimize.
It won't do it, man. It won't do it. Why don't you
Okay.
come back to me? Oh, and then I'll try to figure it out.
Okay, I'll come back to you at the end, Claude. So what you might want to do in the interim is, if you have it on paper,
Practice.
just well, print it out. So,
I can't print it out. No printer working here.
okay.
Okay.
Okay,
Too
so
easy. Too easy.
we'll come back to Claude at
Right.
the end and give him a chance. Okay, so our next group of three is Karen, then James, and then Bruce. So Karen, over to you.
Okay, thank you, and thank you, Paula, for a wonderful reading. This poem is called Season Change, and it was written after a fantastic performance by the moon in the end of August. It was the second of two super moons, and that was really an unusual and amazing performance. So, Season Change. The question, where did it go, is moot, irrelevant, as this day slips away along with random thoughts and mundane tasks, so little gain, only to slide into reverie as we pass mid-year seasons change on the cusp of the supermoon, spied through night's web of trees and light, of hardened radiance against a dark sky. It hangs outside my bedroom window, a separate entity, strange yet familiar with its hypnotic glow, no longer an object far away, yoked to a fathomless universe, but close enough to see ripples and valleys, and to be amazed at gravity's miracle, where what keeps its distance stays in place is all we need to stand upright, our feet on terra firma, the sky limitless beyond us, with no risk of falling. Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you. Very well done. Okay, James, over to you. Glad to see
You know,
the
it
great-
seems like everybody's been talking about cat poems lately, so I wrote a few of them. I put down, when cat went mew, her excrement we would view, knew when she was through. Saw a pretty kitty who was a little and bitty, being very witty. Had heard latest scoop, our cat in box would poop, out would have to scoop. Cat climbed Christmas tree, you should see all the debris, had been spanked by me. And lastly, cat owned by Philistine. Most of them are really mean. Forward, both like to lean. Bye-bye.
Thank you, James.
A few little humors there.
Okay, good. Okay, Bruce, over to you.
Okay, thanks, Dan. And thank you, Paula. And thank you, Kathy, for arranging all this. You might be familiar with a phrase called kill your darlings. This poem is called Dead Darlings. All my darlings are dead. I took your advice and killed them. Now I sit at my lonely desk with nothing to cherish. Yes, the work is crisper, more professional, but what's the point? I haven't been in love with a single line I've written in years. And ever since the slaughter, none of the words gathered on my pages has had anything nice to say about me. In fact, they seem to be huddling in the lower corner of my legal pad and muttering to each other. Every so often, a noun will turn my way and call me a bad name. Then a really muscular verb will threaten to do something terrible. And the way those adjectives talk about me, I'm getting a little concerned. Many of my poems have packed up their stanzas and moved into the collections of other writers. Copyrights be damned. And the ones that are staying refuse to let me recite them. I'm ruined and fearing for my literary life. Maybe I didn't have to kill them. Maybe I should have found other homes for them. I keep going back to how you said that I had to be ruthless and that everything would be so great if I just stopped playing favorites. Thank you.
Well done, Bruce. Words can be scary. So, okay, the next group of three is Don, followed by Jack, followed by Dan Kerr. And Claude will get you at the end. Don, over to you. Don Billings, over to you. Got to turn your mic on. We'll give Don a chance. Don? Okay, I give Don.
Okay.
There you go, Don.
Had a little trouble getting the mic on. This is a holiday poem, and it's all about Saratoga Springs. Every December, they have a big bash. They close down the main street, and they have wonderful things. They have real reindeer and a Santa and choirs, and the racing chorus sings and everything. It's quite wonderful at night. And if you can ever get a chance to get up there, if you Google Saratoga Springs when they're going to have this event, it's worth going to. Anyway, this is called An Evening in Saratoga. It's early December, the evening of the Victorian Walk. There's a festive mood on Broadway with wreaths and garland lights and lights in the trees. Do you see the ice carvings, how they catch the light? And it's reflected, it glistens in the night. Do you hear it? It's the St. Paul's carolers singing, the old familiar carols on the steps of City Hall. Oh, the children are out on Santa's lap. They can see the reindeer with their giant antlers, see them munching hay, but mostly we come to hear the singing. We move along Broadway in the glare of shop windows. We see the Adirondack Trust awash in soft light in the darkness. We hear the deep tone of the Racing City chorus. Do you hear how it's reflected off the high stone walls within? There's hot spice cider and cookies passed around. Outside, we stop to hear an a cappella group, voices blending in the ambient glow of Broadway. We hear their voices carried in the breeze in the night. At the Gelato Cafe, a lone singer casts his song over the crowd. Now we're passing Congress Park, and we see from a distance the carousel horses rising and falling in ever circular prancing. When we imagine the mechanical music driving them ever forward and the children laughing. At last, we're heading to Primo's at the inn of Saratoga. They're serving the salmon with citrus beurre blanc tonight. We're sitting in the radiant warmth of the fireplace. We talk about the crisp salads, the salmon, and the wine. It's called An Evening in Saratoga.
Thank you, Don. Thank you for taking us to a very special place and a very special evening. Jack, over to you. Jack?
Here I am. All righty. Okay. This is called The Light. I lit a candle in the middle, a candle of connection and grief, a candle to glow while two camps shed their fire of indignation towards the other. I lit my lonely light and guarded it for a while, not knowing if the two flames would perhaps devour it. I saw then my light grew larger as people sat beside me along a long table. And then our candles glowed and flickered as a luminous line of compassion.
Thank you, Jack. Okay, the next poem is by Dan Kerr. And Nancy, I enjoyed your poem about the beautiful moon. And this is a poem called Merry Christmas from the Moon. It tells the story of me when I stopped being a teenager Christmas time. Actually, it was Christmas Eve, and then it was Merry Christmas from the Moon. It's a very special evening. So here goes, Merry Christmas from the Moon. Of all my 60 years, 1968 was the most memorable. On New Year's Eve, which is my birthday, I became a teenager and reflected on all that happened my last year as a child. The North Koreans seized the USS spy ship Pueblo in January. Walter Cronkite told America the Vietnam War was lost in February. And I wondered, we all wondered, if America was still capable of winning wars. President Johnson announced he would not run for a re-election in March, and Martin Luther King was shot dead in April. Like Moses, he saw the promised land. He got to the top of the mountain, but he never entered it. President Charles de Gaulle mobilized troops to put down a Paris Revolution in May, and Bobby Kennedy was assassinated in June. Troops were still more powerful than protesters, and a strategic bullet can change the trajectory of history. Arlo Guthrie first sang Alice's Restaurant in the Newport Folk Festival in July, and Soviet tanks crushed the Prague Spring in August. As the Hungarians learned in 1956, there was no place for reform behind the Iron Curtain. The National Organization of Women burned bras at the Miss American pageant in September, and Tommy Smith and Juan Carlos gave the Black Power salute during the Star-Spangled Banner in Mexico Olympics in October. Women and blacks would no longer be ignored. Tricky Dick Nixon was elected winner of the presidential election in November, and many argued that God was dead and America had lost its way. On Christmas Eve, I returned home after my first midnight mass and turned on the TV. The picture on the screen was of the Earth, but it was taken from the moon. And 3 astronauts took turns reading the book of Genesis, and the whole world was watching. As they read, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, let there be light, and there was light. And God saw the light, and that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night, and in the evening and the morning were the first day. And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. And God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven, and the evening and the morning were the second day. And God said, let the waters upon the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let dry land appear. And it was so. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of waters he called the seas. And God saw that it was good. It's difficult to imagine the uproar astronauts reading the Bible on national TV would cause today. However, reflecting back on what happened in 1968, all that we had endured that year, seeing our island home from space and hearing God say it was good, was just what we all needed to hear. Merry Christmas and peace on earth from the crew of Apollo 8 circling the moon. Thank you. Okay, Claude, over to you. Claude, turn your mic on. Okay, Claude, gotta find the button. We'll give him a second. Going once, going twice for Claude. I see him looking. Okay, so Claude, we're gonna come back to you while you work on you turning your mic on. Let's see if there's anyone else who wants to read. Kathy, I know you normally like to read. Let's go around the gallery here. So, Kathy, is that a yes? Okay,
Yes,
so Kathy,
yes, okay.
go ahead,
So
Kathy.
it's December, and I'd like to read a short poem for you, and we'll hand it over to Paula. And I just want to say thank you for coming on this Saturday morning reading for us. You are a force. Okay, trees in wintertime. On this December night, all is still. No wind rushes through frozen shadows. Snow-covered branches sigh quietly till warm sun comes to their rescue. They'll wait. Brown leaves dead and gone, buried deep underfoot, numb, having severed all ties, protect their mother's roots, purpose in their demise. This is a night for reflection. I walk through these woods a solitary tryst. No one ventures out to meet you. Stand still, try to be one of them, until your breath gives yourself away. That's it.
Thank you, Kathy. Okay.
you.
Claude, we'll give you one more chance if you want to turn your mic on. There you go. You're on.
Lord have mercy. I'm going to stay in the water. And again about Santa Barbara, protecting the mariners who sail. This poem is called First Crossing of the Straits of Magellan. And the astrolabe is what they used to measure the height of a star above the horizon to figure out where they were. It was before the sextant. First crossing of the Straits of Magellan. Low grass, peaceful strait, the world round? Most believing nay on the streets of Paris, and south through snowy Sierras and Spanish plains. Polyglot of seafarers sailing from Cadiz, 5 ships, 1519, Magellan, Ferdinand, Portuguese captain, navigating expertly with magnetic compass and astrolabe to measure the heights of the stars above the horizon. Stopped at the Cape Verdes, then across the Atlantic to glide with the Arsinian wheel into Brazilian waters. Samothracian Argonauts all, but one ship, the San Antonio, mutinied. After a winter in Patagonia, observing the pleasures of a miraculous sky with 2 small new nebulas, small and large Magellanic clouds, we now say, satellite galaxies of the Milky Way. The currents appeared too treacherous ahead as the 310 nautical miles began to roil, the ice-capped mountains daunting, nowhere to rest or shelter. The officers' courage deserted them. Their faith ablated. They limped back to Spanish turf, sails beneath their loins. Despite whipping westerly winds and gales, the cauldron that the straits became, the boat-swallowing fjord rounded stark cliffs amidst death's storm. Southward flowing, ferocious east and west converging continental coastal currents, agitated sometimes only 2-mile wide waters. Yet Magellan emerged into calm Pacific bays, safe and sane, crossing his straits in 38 days. Often it would take several months, as others followed later. Sir Francis Drake set the record of but 16 nights and dawns in astounding hours, while the straits' complexity changed. Fearful but brave, knowing the seas via Spanish cartography, Magellan and his famished, scurvied men landed in Guam 4 months afterwards, surviving on rats and waterlogged wood. Strengthened, they moved on to the Marianas, then the Philippines, where Magellan was killed, choosing the wrong ruler, local politics not devouring his whole crew. Sebastian del Cano led the Victoria through the Moluccas slowly around the Cape of Good Hope until returning from the Azores' last lap of man's first circumnavigation of the globe, touching ashore in Spain once more. 1522, early September, only 15 feeble marauders of the crew of 200 from 3 years before surviving the voyage.
Thank you, Claude. That was worth waiting for.
Thank you.
Okay, so let me do one more check and see if there's anyone else that wants to read. Kathy, I don't see anyone else. So, okay. So Paula, we'll welcome you back for an encore. Paula,
Hi.
welcome back.
So I'd like to read 2 pieces from my holiday poems. Every holiday time I write a poem for my family. So I'm going to ask Dan and I'm going to ask Kathy. Dan, if you could give me a number from 4 to 29.
I'm going to
22.
use Kathy's 22, I think, and I'm going to use Rod Gilbert's number from the Rangers, number 7.
Number 7.
And Mickey Mantle's number
Okay.
2 for those baseball fans.
So number 7 is a poem called I Found You. It's a gratitude poem. While on my road to Emmaus, to return to veneration, to love after loss, for a rest, for reconciliation, an attempt for homecoming, I found you. Appreciation. When I explored your meaning for this grace after meals, for this blessing, for this nourishment, an endorsement to rebuild, I found you. Gratitude. I found you, my David. You brought me gold shields. You offered me bronze vessels. You shared your poems, your proverbs, your psalms, your proverbs, your songs, and tears. As we prepare for the feast of dedication and celebrate Emmanuel, I am emboldened, indebted. I have heard the angels and I hear their word. Fear not, for behold, I bring you good news of great joy that will be for all the people. Now that was written after Hurricane Sandy also. So this is the Christmas time after Hurricane Sandy. Okay, Kathy, you're next. What'd you say, 22? Is that your normal number? You always choose 22? We
No.
get a t-shirt that says 22 on it?
No, it's my birthday.
Ah, beautiful. Okay. This is called Inside This House. Well, I am clipping coupons and checking on expiration dates. You're helping check names on the nice list. When I am driving dutifully day through day, you are decorating the interior of this domain. Inside this house, there are chimes and cardinals chanting. While I am walking to work in the wee hours of the morning, you are gripping spirits with the gift of God. While I am foiling fires and ferreting favors, you are lighting up light bulbs inside these lodgings. Inside this dwelling, there is a carillon and a cherub chanting. While I cash checks and confirm costs, you're singing cheerful Christmas carols. While I'm washing the week's whites, you are making miracles inside this mobile home. Inside this residence, there's an acoustic audio singing, "Glory to the newborn King."
Thank you. That was great.
I'd like to leave you with one last toast for all of you for the new year. This is called Images of an Old-Fashioned Toast. And I do toast you all. An Alice Nelson morning toast, where children wait for grilled bread and a chance at cinnamon apple spread with the Brady Bunch. A festive Claire Fraser toast, while dressed in a floral mantua with flair, holding a crystal high in the air, wishing her laird good cheer. Let's share some sweet toast, my friends, and speak a tender toast, with a bit of kindness yet. Next year may be a gentler host. An honest, frugal Bob Cratchit toast, mixed with eggs and yesterday's bread, milk and raisins to be fed as tomorrow's Christmas pudding. A genuine George Bailey heartfelt toast, leaving last year far behind, as the words of Auld Lang Syne are loudly cheered for a wonderful life. Let's share some sweet toast, my friends, and speak a tender toast, with a bit of kindness yet. Next year may be a kinder and gentler host. Happy New Year, everybody.
Well done. Thank you so much. Kathy, over to you.
Yeah, that's a beautiful sentiment. So divided, it seems. And it occurs to me when I think of Hamas and Netanyahu, what does it take to have a big fight? It's two people like this insisting that they're right. No ability or desire to compromise. And I just wanted to say, first of all, it's Ella O'Connor for next month. And I am very much looking forward to it. I think Paula helped me find her. She is the teenage poet laureate of Nassau County. So we start the year out with a young voice and see what she has to say, see what a teenager writes about. And I want to just leave you with this last thought, which is the air is ours to breathe, sun to feel, rain to taste. We can all walk together besides one another freely.